The title of my presentation is something I actually picked up a little bit last minute. Does anybody recognize the first part of my title of the presentation? No? Nobody watches HBO? Okay. In HBO there's a series called Westworld. In Westworld it's a story about artificial intelligence and robots basically being used for entertainment purposes inside this park. Now, this park is a controlled environment. These robots are pre-programmed to do certain things. And whenever they see certain things that they don't understand or that is not in the scope of their understanding, they say that doesn't look like anything to me. This is actually the way us bankers think about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin pretty much these days. It doesn't look like anything to us because it's not regulated. It's not defined in laws and in any way that would allow us to touch it. A lot like with Westworld, people like me inside the banks are trying to break out of this cycle, make sure that we understand what is out there beyond the boundaries of the regulation that we have today. And what can we actually take into our business to start learning from what's going on outside the scope of the traditional way of thinking. Now, the kind of intro to my set was about the journey of Nordea inside the blockchain space. And for us, I like to kind of look at this through the lens of hype. I heard from reliable source as well that you cannot have a presentation about blockchain without Gartner hype curve. So here it is. Congratulations. The Gartner hype curve, this is 1 year old, puts blockchain technology in the downturn of hype. Interestingly enough, this was mid-2017, and I'd like to emphasize that the reason why it's going down already mid-2017 is that this represents the enterprise or the bank's perception into blockchain technology, not the cryptocurrency or the kind of ICO space that was blowing up at the time. Because one of the kind of key turning points for banks and blockchain and cryptocurrencies really was in 2015, when I would argue that blockchain was on the top of that hype cycle. 2015, the banks started waking up to this space. Same with Nordea. We just had a presentation from ABN and AMRO where they said that they started looking into blockchain in 2015. Same is true for Nordea. 2015 was the year when we had I think it was Fortune magazine that had the cover, The Truth Machine, about blockchain. And this kind of truth machine thing triggered a lot of things and investment into this space, including the banks like us, who started investing in consortiums like R3 to have almost like a group therapy club for banks to talk about blockchain, because so much was going on in the Bitcoin space. So 2015, we started looking into this, so did many other banks. We also saw the start of enterprise blockchain or DLT platforms starting to be developed in 2015. Now, when you look at banking from a timeline perspective, and you start to understand that technology, introduced to the broader public by Bitcoin in 2008, was out there for 7 years before the banks started looking into what actually can we do with this stuff, and started developing their own platforms. Now, this was 3 years ago, a little bit over 3 years ago. 3 years is nothing in time of enterprise software development. Yeah, in fact, it's barely enough to create a stable software to go into production in mission-critical systems, like the financial services, of course, all are. So we are going to head further down the curve, and when Gartner releases their new cycle in a couple, I think next month, we will see blockchain towards the bottom of that cycle. And the reason is that there's so much disillusionment happening right now. We have all the recommendations by the central banks saying, it's not ready. We have Bank of Canada saying that, there's problems with the solution. It's not mature enough. We have Swift saying that they did a pilot with blockchain, didn't work out that well. All of this is kind of pushing down the hype in the same way as every technology in the world goes through this cycle. And as a testament of that, today if we define a live production system as a multi-party system where people can do repeatable, unpredictable transactions that are uncurated, nothing is live today, with one exception, which I will talk about in the end of my presentation.